Hello and welcome to this very special edition of the Irish Wrestling Podcast in association with BodySlamNet. My name is Mark O'Brien, and ahead of this weekend's Ring of Honor final battle, I'm joined by a wrestler, wrestling executive, a wrestling trainer, a famed bodybuilder now, a wrestling promoter, independent wrestling champion, as well as recent social media megastar. I'm joined by the one and the only QT Marshall. QT,
Hey,
how was that for an introduction?
I really, man, now that you listed everything, I've done a little bit, huh?
Yeah,
I never realized it. I always said I'm just a guy from New Jersey that doesn't want to take no for an answer. But your introduction was a lot better than what I would give.
listen, that's part of the job, selling you so I can sell more of these interviews. But
Yeah.
anyway, listen, you've had a bit of a career resurgence of late. You've had a brilliant couple of months now off the back of
Yeah.
what you independently yourself have done across this summer as somebody who's a massive fan of your work in AAA, also your independent wrestling stuff throughout the year. How fulfilling has it been of late to have, I suppose, not a career resurgence, but you're kind of getting your flowers at this stage of your career based on your work, what you've done again in Mexico, independent wrestling, also on a larger platform as your work you've done with the Costco guys.
Yeah. It feels good. Like I said, after the match with AJ and Costco Guy, I received a lot of messages from a lot of people that I respect, that I trust their opinion, I value their opinion,
Mm.
and yeah, it's been good. Like I said, I'm trying to ride that momentum now, right? Because you're only as good as your next match, right, or your last match, even too. So, the last thing you want to do is not have anything next, because you'll be forgotten about right away. So, luckily, I'm okay with that. But at the same time, if there is something for me to, you'll hear me say this a lot, get bounced around a little bit. Wrestling is something that I have been involved with since I'm 18, but
Mm.
I've been into since I'm 8 years old. It was something that I've always wanted to be a part of, always wanted to do. So I'm always going to want to do that until somebody tells me I physically have to stop.
Mm.
Now it's just about picking the right opportunities that are beneficial to me, but beneficial to the company and beneficial to somebody else that I'm sharing the ring with. And like I said, I feel like getting on the independents for the past year and kind of helping out like Coastal Championship Wrestling and being like the face of their company and showing that, hey, maybe I could be taken a little bit more seriously and maybe I could help a company and I could do these things. Luckily in AEW, we have a lot of people that already do that for us, so that pressure is not there. But at the end of the day, that kind of gave me the confidence and um, the guts to kind of present Tony with some of these opportunities and so on and so forth. He's been really great about it, and that was one of the things when I came back to AEW that we spoke about it. It was just about, again, finding the right thing to do. So final battle is, it looks like one of the right things to do tomorrow night. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait.
Yeah, listen, final battle tomorrow. You're facing somebody who you've got a career history with. So obviously you were originally part
Sure.
of Ring of Honor back in 2012. You actually faced Jay Lethal, your opponent for tomorrow night, back in 2012 as part of the initial Survival of the Fittest tournament. How much of a full circle moment is it for you personally coming back to the ROH brand, facing Jay Lethal in, I suppose, in the tri-state area for yourselves, almost a homecoming of sorts, coming to the famous Hammerstein Ballroom at the kind of the 10th pole Ring of Honor final battle show as well?
Yeah, so there's an interview, a sit down that we did yesterday. It'll air tonight on the Ring of Honor, on
Mhm.
Watch ROH. Jay Lethal, Survival of the Fittest. It aired October 13th, 2012. I always remember that date because I took a back body drop and I popped all the discs in my neck. Not every single one, but enough of them to really create a downward spiral for me in my career, professionally and physically, to the point where I couldn't really work out. And if you look at me in September of that year to Final Battle of 2012, I completely changed. I had lost my hair. I had lost what I looked like physically. And, I blame that on Jay Lethal. So for me, this is definitely full circle. I had neck surgery in 2016. I'm healthier. I'm happier. I'm in a different place in my career. But being able to go back to Jay Lethal and, hopefully stealing the show, but also proving that, maybe back then I wasn't ready and I was in a spot that maybe I wasn't ready for, and now I'm ready for it. So, yeah, completely full circle. Final Battle 2012, I was relegated to being a manager for R.D. Evans against Prince Nana, and Jay Lethal was having one of the best matches on the show. And that really stuck with me. And I always wanted to have that opportunity. And just like in AEW, when my first time around, like there was a mindset that I have of being a professional wrestler that is very giving and very non-selfish. And unfortunately, that doesn't work out all the time. So again, you have to pick your battles. And my battle at Final Battle has been chosen for me professionally to go out there and absolutely steal the show. So I'm going to do my best to do so. But if we're going off of what I did with AJ, I think we did some of that at Full Gear, and now I got to try it with a different audience, a more hardcore audience, a more critical audience, and I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, well, listen, as somebody who's also broken their neck and recently lost quite a bit of their hair, I can resonate a lot with what you just said there. And
Yeah,
so it's my,
yeah.
my my hairline's getting away from me, so I do appreciate that kind of full
They
circle
can
moment
fix
myself.
that, I went to Turkey. You could get that taken care of,
Yeah,
and
listen,
man, you get a full head. I'm excited.
I'm based in Dublin. There's plane loads of people going to Turkey every weekend. I'll probably have to
That's
bike
right.
head
That's
over there
right.
myself. So yeah. And no, listen, that sounds incredibly cool. Going back to that Hammerstein Ballroom, that as you said, that kind of more hardcore element of AEW fans. I don't necessarily think you're going to have as much of a hardcore element as you maybe described. And I think of late, the kind of critical acclaim you've gotten, particularly post your Big Boom AJ match, like the appreciation and flares you're getting, I think that's going to lend itself, given your kind of current presentation, towards more appreciation in what you're delivering as well. And I think it's going to naturally lend to a pantomime atmosphere. So that's kind of my own opinion from a fan from afar who'll be staying up the middle of the night to be watching. But
Sure.
you discussed recently about your actual status with AEW currently. You're back in an executive role, but you're actually performing without a wrestling contract. Is there any discussions currently around possibly upgrading to a wrestling contract as well as conjunction with your day-to-day activities?
No, no, there isn't. Honestly, I just kind of day by day and opportunity by opportunity. I've done a couple of pre-show matches. I did one in Salt Lake City that was shot in between Dynamite and Rampage because of
Mm.
one of the local professionals out there who, he brought his entire city of Salt Lake to the show. So that was part of a deal I had made with him. If he could present, or push these tickets like he said he could, that he would get a match and I would be the one that wrestled him. And like I said, for me, it's all about opportunity. It has to be the right opportunity. We have a huge roster in both companies. And, the last thing I want to do is try to take somebody's spot that makes it look like it's all about me. But at the end of the day, too, like if I'm out there putting my body on the line, there has to be something for me in it as well. And if Tony asked me to perform, I can perform. Right. And it's always been like that since day one. I never had a wrestling contract up until the middle of the pandemic. It was, hey, I know you can wrestle. I know I can trust you. You can do what we need done on television. So have your gear with you at all times and so on and so forth. So, and it's led to more opportunities, and that's just always how I've been. So I'm
Mm.
hoping that after what happened with Big Boom AJ and now this match with Jay Lethal and the style that we're gonna kind of show in this match, that I do hope that there are more opportunities. But again, I'm not going to push for it because I do have a very good balance in my life right now. And honestly, the deal I have at AEW right now is very, very, very sweet for me. I could wrestle for basically anybody, right? Besides WWE. So if I want to get that fix of wrestling, I could just go perform on an indie show or go perform for, AAA or CMLL or Maple Leaf Wrestling with Scott D'Amore. So yeah, like I said, I mean, if I'm asked, of course, if there's an opportunity that I see could help somebody else, help myself as well, I'll present it. But, I'm just kind of going with the flow.
Well, listen, as a fan, I'm hoping you're firstly heavily compensated for when you do get the opportunity to wrestle in ring, and you also do get more opportunities, not just in pre-shows, but on main event shows also.
Sure.
So just like as somebody who's been watching you from afar and unashamedly watched every episode of AEW television since its inception, 2019, your own personal journey from being the guy QT Marshall as part of the Natural Nightmares to pivoting over to the factory stuff to QTV to stepping away last year and now coming back as almost like initially the social media presence with Big Boom AJ. That's kind of your reintroduction to television and now being presented as an individual star in Ring of Honor television. In terms of your kind of journey from start to finish of the last 5 years, not only physically, like have you transformed entirely, you've regrown your hair magically, but also your whole presentation and your confidence and it comes through the screen. That 5 year arc, how's that been for you in totality?
Yeah. Again, having the job backstage first
Yeah.
really put a lot of pressure on me to do what was best for the company.
Oh.
And it didn't really lend me to being the best successfully professionally. And going to AAA last year and even New Japan Strong
Mm.
and going there and being able to just show up, wrestle, not have to worry about anything else, it really gave me the confidence, especially in AAA, to know that okay, I could be seen in a different light if I don't have the rest of these people under me. That the factory was all about Anthony a go-go. The fact QTV was all about powerhouse hops, right? Until all this stuff happened, and it was like these roles were never for me, right? It was just like, hey, QT will do it, and QT will do his he will play his role, and so on and so forth. And I never minded doing it because at the end of the day, my dream was always just to be a wrestler. So if I'm able to go out there and do that kind of stuff, but at a certain point, you kind of start to get that itch of maybe I should be the main character in this story. But you have to look like the main character, you have to act like the main character, and so on and so forth. And when I came back, and Tony and I spoke about this the next day after Big Boom AJ, I was able to present myself, like you said, the presentation, the build up to the match, everything about it kind of had main character energy, even though it was on the pre-show. But it was the main event of the pre-show, and then we built it that way. And I was being able to be looked at in a different light. And I remember Tony called me the next day and he said, "This is exactly what you were talking about last year with me when you decided, maybe you should step away for a little while. And I think your confidence and everything about it, like this is exactly kind of what I needed." And again, there's always going to be your critics, but I think, a lot of them, if they didn't want to, as you said, give me flowers, I think they all had to throw them at me that night. So yeah, like I said, I very happy for it. I think having that presentation does help out a lot. Perception is reality if you're perceived as something, but you do have to do the work as well, right? At the end of the day, wrestling is a lot different than it used to be. Not everyone's cookie cutter, but if you want to be the world champion, you should, in my mind, look, act, and perceive yourself as a world champion, right? And yeah, so that's kind of my mindset going into it. And hopefully, the same thing will happen tomorrow night at Final Battle.
Yeah, well, listen, as somebody who follows your work across Coastal Championship, Boca Raton, loves your work in AAA, particularly with Sam Adonis and Jeff Jarrett. Listen, I'm delighted to see you on screen. Can I have being able to present yourself in the manner you see fit? But ahead of tomorrow night, obviously you're facing Jay Lethal. People from this part of the world, be it the UK, Europe, Ireland, what can fans expect if they tune in to watch ROH.com to see you and Jay Lethal kind of reignite your personal history?
Everything you saw with me and Big Boom AJ, you're going to see the complete opposite. That's my goal. Go in there and show people a side of QT that they've never seen before, that I've always had in me, that I probably have done on the independents, but now you're going to get to see it on the big screen in front of a different audience and so on and so forth. And I think the goal is, by the end of this night, is to still do the business part of it that we need to get done, but to get those flowers again. But those flowers in a different mindset of like, wow, okay, he did that with AJ. Now look what he did with Jay Lethal. Man, maybe this guy is pretty underappreciated, and so that's my goal. Whether it happens or not, only time will tell. But I've been doing this long enough that I feel that I've kind of gotten a grasp on how to keep the audience engaged and let them have a great experience as fans.
And I have no doubt you actually absolutely will. From the Hammerstein Ballroom tomorrow night, it's Ring of Honor final battle, emanating, as I said, from Manhattan Center, Hammerstein Ballroom, QT Marshall versus Jay Lethal. QT, thank you very, very much for your time. I'll be tuning in. I know many people from this part of the world will be also.
Got it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you.